All right, I definitely have something here for the jewelers that I've run into out there in Grasshopper. As you know, I've kind of stopped my Python scripts long enough to dig into the RHINO Python Primer that was initially made by Daniel RUTTEN. Um, as I go into it, I'm running. I mean, really, I'm starting to leave Grasshopper. I didn't think that would happen, but here it is. It's basically nodes, and I've gone in and I've brought in some scripts that I've had more luck or less luck. This is very slow moving right now. You can see this is a script that I was working with, but over in RhinoScript, and I was doing fine over there. But I didn't even attempt to bring it into Python. I thought it was a little advanced for me. Just put that away. Everything's moving very slow because of this file that you see in front of you. It's a pretty slow script, to say the least, even though it's just one node, and I'll show you why that is. Hopefully we can go into this. What I am going to do is I'm going to grab this object. Hopefully it'll grab it. It just takes a little bit of time. And I'll just hide it for now. Hopefully that'll hide fairly quickly. Everything's very slow. That's pretty thick. And then I have it in render. And here's the second script that I did in. I definitely was working in RhinoScript, and I showed this on the last video. So this one was actually, I believe, Python script edit written here as Python 2. Or actually, I think that one was Python 3. Yeah, very simple script in Python 3 RhinoScript. But then what I did was make some minor adjustments of bringing in an array and then appending that array and then just outputting it as A. So I've learned how to take RhinoScript and put it into Python, and it's fairly repetitive. I'm going to state this kind of cool variable that I put within the function, the scope of the function, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, we'll bury that one away, and we may come back to that. And then for this one, I've gone in and I wrote a script. Well, they wrote a script. It was a pretty cool script, and what it generates is very nice when I run it. I think it will run if I show it. Preview on. There it is. It's a sine path. I did that in the last one. It generates a nice sine path. And I took that from what I had in RhinoScript, put it into here, and did the same thing with the array or list variable off the start, assigning that to a list, and then appending that with the function cool, what comes out of the function scope cool, and then I put that over to A. Okay, so that was pretty straightforward. And then we'll just close this up. This is the new one that I went into, and it was done in RhinoScript first. So I should probably show that in RhinoScript how that actually stands. So we'll go into Tools and Python Edit, and that was, I believe, 4. So here was the script for that one, and that generates, if you give it a second, it generates this thing. Pretty nice in Rhino. I mean, it bakes it in. You're left with all these little spheres that you can play with. You see it's pretty slow moving. It would have been nice to do mesh spheres, but regular spheres are fine. And that script, if we take a look at it, import RhinoScript as rs, import math, set pi to math.py. Now, what they had in the older case of the primer was they had these parentheses, and I had to go into that and discover, what did I discover? Just, you've obviously got to fix things up. And I found out that I enjoyed debugging, but basically I found out the error is quite telling. Math pi, right here, math pi is a float, just a number, not a function. So math pi brackets, parentheses, tells the Python to call a function called math pi, but since math pi is not callable, an error is thrown. So drop the parentheses and you'll be fine. And I found that online, and that was nice to debug that. I was having trouble. I always find I have to step away from the code, watch a movie, do something else, have a beer, relax, come back, and then it makes sense. So I did the same thing again. I took that out of RhinoScript. I have it working in there, so we'll get rid of that. I don't need to see that. It's working, so I cut and paste that, and then I put it into this Python. And as soon as I cut and paste it in, I'm like, okay, what has to be done? And what I'm finding is I'm getting into this pretty simple system of just, I'm calling this one hot taco and setting that to a list. And then I have put in cool. I took the RHINO script add sphere, XYZ, and the rest of it, I mean, you can walk through it if you've played with Tinker Code or done anything in processing. You'll kind of understand what you're dividing 360 degrees by these, or 2 pi by these degrees of, I guess that would be 30 degrees is, oh my gosh, can't remember what that is in radians. Anyway, whatever, over pi, pi over 2, whatever. That'll be 90 degrees. And you got to cut that in thirds, so whatever. Pi over 6, I guess, would be. Anyway, you figure it out, start, step, and start, stop, and step, and then you can see the amplification. To build the circle, you've got to go with cos and sine, which is something I discovered playing with attributes to feed into numbers, ranges of numbers into Python, into the Grasshopper nodes. So this is nothing new to me. It's just interesting to see it more in script. Sometimes I see it in the equations I was writing. I was using it in Python nodes, so here's a Python node with it. So I set the RHINO script add sphere to XYZ because it's three-dimensional at a certain diameter or radius, I guess you call it, and set that to cool. And then I appended hot taco, that empty list, with cool each time the iteration went through. And there was this extra thing in here, rs enable redraw false, and then using it again down here, and I guess that speeds up the script. If you take that off or hashtag that off, both those off, it'll move. You'll see how the dots are generated one at a time, and I think it takes quite a while. And then I set hot taco, the new hot taco, after it had been appended with cool, to A, and the function works. So that said, I've already got it on here. I'll just pull it out. It takes a second to upload, and there it is. And now that's not it, actually. The shape itself, if I put that one on preview, I got ahead of myself. Let me click on this again and send that into hiding. Let me take this one and put preview on, and you'll see what's actually there. It might not work on, I think it does. It's just thinking, there it is. And it's working fairly fast there as the script. So once I have a script working like that, I know there's an option in here to click and say, take off, don't show the inputs. So you hide input, I think it is. Input X, input Y. Anyway, you can make it so this is kind of a scraggly tag thing that doesn't show you your inputs. I guess I'm just not looking in the right spot. Not important, really. You can leave them there. They're not doing anything. They're empty generic parameters. So then I felt I'd activate them. So I took this one and put it to off. And then this is the one that I said, let's put that one on. And if you take a look at this, it's pretty fun. So without being baked, you've got a lot of control. Now, I didn't write down what all of these do. I just started to add inputs because I felt in looking at this script, anywhere I thought there might be something interesting to add, like X, I put it in to here instead of 5 as the digit. So the start and stop, I thought, well, I want to be able to play with that. I want to be able to slide that slider around. And I'm not sure how fast moving that is. And you see it is pretty slow. This will probably shorten it and make less of a spheres. I did drag it, but now it's like, no, you're asking me too much because it's going through the whole system every time I use that slider. So it's a slow script for a ring. It will change in time. It's just thinking, and maybe I'll just, you'll have to trust me on these variables and the angles I've chosen, how this awkward angle came about here, because I actually like that one. It's still thinking, there you go, the change happened. At least it's still setting. And even though it says 22 milliseconds here, it's taking a lot longer than what it's suggesting it's taking to make. So yeah, there we go. So we really did adjust that one. We pulled it way down into there to a thing band ring, and you saw how long it took to process that script. Anyway, so that X is playing into start, stop, and then Y is playing into the step. So the step I can set from, I set it because it was set at 0.5, I set it from 0 to 1. So you can change that and you'll get a different step. And then down here, P and Q, I thought, well, let's add those in as Oh, here, the dividing of the angles. So I set them, it was set at 30 degrees and 15 degrees. So I thought, well, why not add those ones in there? And actually, I didn't actually set Q in there. Q should be set in there, P should be set in there, and then I have R and S, which are the number sliders here, so I didn't actually finish the script yet. So we'll put R in here, and we'll put S in here, and we'll just have to be patient as I hit run to test that one. We're going to get a different shape as that goes, but I think it'll be such a subtle little banding shape here. It's not responding right now, the script editor, it's thinking, and it's saying, you know, you're asking me to do quite a bit. I just put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 variables that weren't doing anything, and you saw I just added in the other ones I was playing with. But once you get a script to run, what a much simpler way to script within the Python node than it is to worry about the wires, the connects, the parameters in the node, and there's a totally different band. So this is a very simple script for a really awesome piece of, you know, a ring. So I'm just going to take and put it over here, and I'm going to join it all together, all those spheres. And I got a pretty cool script. So let's just wait for the render to happen. And then I will take it off of here so we don't see anything. There's another render. Oh my gosh. Yes, I'm making these rings now. I've made a script of how many lines? 22 lines, not even that. If I was to cut this one back, cut that one back, cut this back, cut this back, and I know you shouldn't have practice of that, but we're looking at a script that's 15-line script, and I have pretty much an infinite array of how I would build a ring and make that. I am curious to what that looks like in artistic, even though it's probably going to slow down and say, no, Michael, why'd you do that? But you know, to play with these numbers in such an automated, infinite way that the computer can handle, I don't know how to express how this is just going deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole as of design and gaining control. And this may not get through the script because there's such, you know, that's such an object that I wouldn't even want to take out to mesh. But for jewelry and the fine precision of that, I think this one's pretty nice. So, well, I probably shouldn't have set it to technical rendering, but I did. And there it goes. So you've got one wild little tiny ring. What a way to end. And in the same breath, I can swap that for what was already there. Give it 1 second on technical, and there's my other one in EMAP that I had. A 15-line script with 6 input variables. And I just accidentally made these two structures, like just by playing around with it. So I am sold on RHINO Python for RHINO script primer, and I'm only going into the 6th chapter on tuples, lists, and dictionaries. And I took a few of the examples off this page. I mean, basically it started with that sample, which you're looking at right now. And I've written it into my Grasshopper parametric script, and I'm very happy with myself. So follow me along through this. Get in touch with me. These last 3 months, it hasn't even been 3 months, have just been such a steep, hard learning curve. And there's over 1,000 objects there in this object, and 1,170 objects in the other one. And these are all made from just simple diameter spheres. I'd hate to have to physically make it out of silversmithing or wax, but here it is as a design. Take it to print and cast it. I've got some pretty cool rings. Considering I never bought my wife any rings, and we've been married 20 years. I think I bought a $10 ring. She still has. Made another one out of an old copper wire. I think this is going to be a real treat. Thank you very much for watching. I'm actually loving debugging things. And here we go.